Welcome back to Tier44 Technologies. Today I will introduce an extension to the CMDB data model to capture interface details and tools to create and use them. Now, what are interfaces? ServiceNow provides data models and default structures for configuration items, associated models, and relationships to link them together. For example, you can define a rack, a server, and create a relationship between them to represent the fact that the server is contained in the rack. The same applies to power relationships, like a server is powered by one or more power strips. What you cannot do today is adding details to the relationship, like the rack unit position or the power supply or power outlet details, or within network relationships, the ports, connectors, and cable details. Granted, ServiceNow provides a single port field for relationships, but that's just an integer field, and it's only one per relationship, which is way too limited. When we talk about interfaces, we mean details to devices and configuration items that extend the relationship with additional details associated with the parent and child. For example, 48 network ports of type RJ45, power outlets of type C14, or 42 rack unit positions. As these interfaces are specific to certain models, Tier44 has added an interface table to the model structure in ServiceNow. For other models like network switches or servers, you have a variety of interface possibilities depending on the individual model configuration. This includes network ports, console ports, power supplies, and whatever other interfaces you want to utilize as part of a relationship. The same applies to rooms, where you can define interfaces to outline locations for equipment like rack spaces, cooling unit locations, etc. To make it easy to create these interfaces, Tier44 includes an interface builder, a graphical tool that allows you to load the image and mark all individual interfaces applicable to a specific model. Here you can see an example of a server with marked interfaces for network and power. Tier44 has created an in-depth tutorial on how to utilize this tool with demonstrations on a floor plan and network switch. After creating these interfaces, you also need some extension to the way relationships are created, as the default relationship editor does not allow to specify any relationship details along with the creation of the relationship itself. To use interfaces and assign them to relationships effectively, Tier44 has created the Relationship Builder, a tool that lets you see and select interfaces from the parent and child as you create relationships. You can see the occupied and available interfaces on each device in every relationship. This is also how equipment is put into racks using the contained by relationship. As a result, you can view interfaces that are now part of relationships on the Graphical View Interface tab. Each graphical view has this tab to easily view the occupied and available interfaces on a switch or rack units on a rack. Tier44 also uses interfaces for capacity aggregation. It can tell you how many rack units you still have available in a rack or how many network ports on a switch. On this detail table, you can see the automated calculations of space and power that show what has been used or consumed and what is still available. You can also see the contiguous rack units, which are the number of consecutive open rack unit positions. This is useful when you have a large piece of equipment that takes up multiple rack units. This number can tell you if it can fit in this rack or not. On this rack, there are 13 available rack units, but only 11 contiguous rack units. This concludes our introduction of interfaces on the Tier44 application in ServiceNow. Interfaces are needed to properly define server racks and equipment in your data center. They are also used to calculate available and occupied space and power aggregations. Our next video will be linked below for an in-depth tutorial on how to use the builder on a switch and floor plan. You can request a free trial from the ServiceNow store to try out the interface builder yourself. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more details and tutorials.